Welcome back to the deep dive. We're here again, digging into the research, the sources you sent, our notes, all to pull out the really essential stuff for you.
And today, we're tackling communication. But, not just talking.
Right.
It's about something deeper, something the sources called connection. And they argue pretty strongly, actually, that getting good at this is maybe the fastest way to improve, well, everything. Your work life, your personal life.
Absolutely. So our mission today is to get past the usual fluffy advice. We want to pull out the real psychological insights, the practical tips from all this material.
Yeah.
Things you can actually use to go from maybe feeling a bit awkward or unclear to being someone who communicates with confidence, clarity, someone who really engages people.
Because the payoff is huge. The sources are really clear on this. Good communication, it's not just a nice to have.
Yeah.
It really drives your relationships. It builds your confidence. And yeah, it absolutely impacts your career, your success. It fundamentally changes how people see you.
And maybe how you see yourself, too.
Definitely. How you see yourself.
Okay, so let's get into it. We usually think communication is about, what we say, broadcasting our thoughts. But the material we've looked at insists that real connection, it actually starts way before you even open your mouth. It's all about the internal stuff first.
Yeah.
It starts with deciding to understand.
That's exactly the place to start, that core idea. You have to shift your whole internal approach. Like, stop focusing on what you're going to say next, your clever point, or your helpful advice.
Right, planning your comeback.
Yeah. And instead, put all that energy into really getting what the other person is trying to convey, both the facts and, importantly, the feeling behind it, which brings us straight to active listening. That's our deep dive 1.
Okay, listen more than you speak. It sounds so obvious, right? But the sources point out this really common mistake, something we almost all do automatically, that just tanks conversations. We listen, but only to figure out when we can jump in.
Exactly. We're basically just waiting for our turn, using their words as a launch pad for our own stuff. It's like a kind of cognitive bias, really.
A bias. How so?
Well, psychologists call it the listener expectancy bias. You sort of predict where they're going.
Ah, okay.
And you stop actually processing what they're saying right now. You're already 3 steps ahead in your own head.
Yeah, I can see that. So the specific actions here, they require real discipline, don't they?
They really do. It means giving your full, undivided attention. And that's partly the external stuff, like, yes, put your phone down.
Obvious but crucial.
But it's more about managing your internal world. You have to consciously quiet that voice in your head that's already writing your response.
That's the hard part, isn't it? Especially if it's a topic you feel strongly about, like, say, politics or a work disagreement.
Oh, absolutely.
You hear maybe the first few words you disagree with, and bang, your brain's off building its counter-argument, and you miss the nuance, the why behind their point.
Totally. So how do you signal you're actually engaged? The sources talk about nonverbal encouragement.
Okay.
It's about showing the speaker, hey, I'm listening, what you're saying matters. Simple things like nodding, not necessarily agreeing, just showing you're receiving the signal.
Right, acknowledging.
And maintaining eye contact. Not staring them down, obviously, but showing you're present. But the really key skill here is asking thoughtful questions. And often that involves what the sources call the summarize first technique.
Summarize first. Tell me more about that.
Okay. So instead of immediately jumping in with your opinion or question, you quickly paraphrase what you think you just heard them say.
Ah, like checking your understanding.
Exactly. You might say something like, okay, so if I'm getting this right, the main issue for you isn't really the budget itself, but more the tight deadline it creates.
I see.
It does a couple of things. 1, it forces you to actually process what they said. 2, it makes the speaker feel heard, which builds trust.
Yeah, validation.
And 3, it gives them a chance to correct you right away if you misunderstood something before the conversation goes off track.
That sounds incredibly useful, especially in tricky conversations or meetings. So the big takeaway, the so what here, is that effective communicators making the other person feel important their priority.
Precisely.
And that starts completely with listening.
It all hinges on that listening phase, which leads us nicely into deep dive 2, using thinking and silence as actual tools.
Right.
So much miscommunication, the sources say, happens simply because we speak too soon. We just react. We don't filter.
That lack of a pause. It's so common. We feel this pressure to respond instantly, maybe to seem smart or quick. But we end up sacrificing clarity. The material suggests this quick mental checklist, a 3-part filter before you speak.
Yeah, the clarity checklist, it's simple but powerful. Is this clear? Is it kind? Is it necessary?
Clear, kind, necessary.
Okay. It covers the content, the emotional impact, and the relevance all in one go. It's quite elegant, actually.
It is. But what about when those things conflict? Like giving tough feedback. Being totally clear might not feel very kind, but being too kind might muddy the necessary message.
That's a really common tension. The material suggests you prioritize based on the situation.
Okay.
In a professional setting, maybe about performance or safety, clarity has to come first. But you deliver it respectfully, right? You temper it with kindness.
Right.
In a more personal, emotional chat, maybe kindness or empathy takes the lead. You ensure the message lands gently, but the key is necessity. If it doesn't need to be said, then applying the filter means you just don't say it. The goal isn't talking a lot, it's saying what matters. Efficiency.
Efficiency through filtering. I like that. And this connects back to silence, doesn't it? A lot
Correct.
of people, maybe especially in online meetings, feel silence is bad, like you're lagging or you don't know the answer.
Yeah, that awkward pause.
How do confident communicators deal with that? Is it just about being okay with awkwardness?
It's about why the silence is there. It's intentionality. Confident communicators are comfortable with pauses because they're using that moment
Using it how?
to think, to run that clarity checklist. They understand that a deliberate pause doesn't signal nervousness. It signals thoughtfulness. It gives weight to what they said before and what they're about to say.
So it adds impact.
Definitely. Rushing to fill every single gap, often out of anxiety, just weakens your message. It's better to learn to pause, take a breath, let things sink in. It makes your eventual words much more powerful.
Okay, that makes sense. Discipline again. So listening, pausing. Which brings us to deep dive 3, practicing empathy. The sources define this not just as feeling sorry for someone, but really trying to see things from their viewpoint.
Exactly. Walking in their shoes, as the saying goes, this is where the real human connection happens. When you genuinely try to understand how someone else is feeling, what their perspective is, even if you completely disagree with them, it changes everything about how you communicate next. It becomes warmer, more trustworthy.
And the sources really emphasize something here. You don't always have to fix it for them.
Oh, that's crucial. Trying to jump in with solutions when someone is just sharing distress,
Yeah.
it can actually backfire. It can feel dismissive.
Right, like you're not hearing their feeling, just seeing a problem to solve.
Precisely. So imagine someone says, ugh, I'm totally swamped with this new project. The knee-jerk, maybe sympathetic response is, okay, here's what you do. Rejig your calendar like this.
Yeah, the fixer.
The empathetic response is different. It's more like, wow, that sounds really overwhelming. I can see why you'd be feeling stressed right now.
One makes them feel maybe inadequate, the other makes them feel understood.
Exactly, seen. And often that feeling of being seen is what they actually need most in that moment.
So the actionable advice here is often just simple acknowledgement.
Delivered sincerely, yes. Things like, I understand that must be really tough, or I can definitely see why you're frustrated.
Just validate the feeling.
It creates immediate connection. It builds trust because you've shown you're operating on a human level first before jumping to logistics or solutions. And consistently doing this, it transforms everyday conversations from just exchanging info into, well, real connections.
Yeah, so that's a really strong foundation internally. Listening deeply, thinking before speaking, using empathy. Now we need to shift focus. How do we actually deliver the message effectively? Because all that good internal work can be undermined by poor delivery, right?
Absolutely. This is about mechanics, what people see and hear. Because often how you say something carries more weight than what you say, especially when emotions are involved.
So let's jump into deep dive 4, improving your body language. The stats on this are always kind of mind-blowing. The sources say, what, over half of communication is nonverbal?
Often cited around 55%, yeah. Your tone, your posture, your facial expressions, they often communicate far more than your actual words.
So if I'm saying, yeah, I'm really engaged in this, but I'm slumped, arms crossed, maybe looking away.
The listener believes the body language. Every time. The slumped posture screams disinterest or anxiety, no matter what words you use. The nonverbal signal wins.
Okay, so what are the practical tips?
Yeah.
How do we use our body language effectively?
It starts with posture and openness. Standing or sitting tall conveys confidence and respect. Keeping an open posture, arms uncrossed, hands relaxed signals you're receptive, collaborative.
Right, not closed off.
And using gestures that match what you're saying. If you're talking about something expansive, don't physically shrink, and
Yeah.
eye contact is huge. It's probably the single biggest signal of confidence and honesty.
But not staring. Right, the sources mention specific ways to do it.
Yeah, definitely not staring. That just makes people uncomfortable. In more formal settings, they talk about the triangle gaze, shifting your focus gently between the person's eyes and forehead every few seconds. It maintains connection without feeling intense.
Okay.
In casual chats, aiming for eye contact maybe 60–70% of the time feels natural. It shows you're engaged but not trying to dominate.
Now, the sources get into something really interesting here, the mind-body loop. The idea that you can use your body to influence your mind, not just the other way around.
This is incredibly useful, especially if you get nervous speaking.
Mm-hmm.
When you feel that anxiety kicking and heart races, maybe you feel tense, you can consciously use your body to calm your brain down.
How does that work?
Take a deliberate, slow, deep breath from the diaphragm. Consciously relax your shoulders, unclench your jaw, slow down your speaking pace slightly. By physically putting your body into a state of calm, you send feedback to your brain, basically saying, hey, there's no threat here.
So you're kind of tricking your nervous system.
In a way, yeah. It's like real-time biofeedback. You're using physical actions to regulate your emotional state. It's very powerful.
That is a great tool, and it connects directly to Deep Dive 5, improving your tone of voice. Because tone can totally change the meaning of words, can't it?
Completely. It's the emotional layer of your speech. Think about the word okay, said with a smile, upward inflection, friendly agreement. Okay, said with a sigh, falling pitch. Totally different meaning, annoyance, resignation. The word itself is almost irrelevant without the tone.
So what makes a tone warm or trustworthy? Is it volume, pitch, speed?
It's really a mix of those things. A good engaging tone usually has vocal variety. It's not monotone, which signals boredom. It generally has a moderate, steady pace. Too fast sounds anxious. Too slow can sound unenthusiastic. And resonance matters. Speaking from your chest or diaphragm gives your voice warmth and authority rather than sounding thin or nasal.
How do you get better at that? Is it just practice?
Practice and awareness. The sources suggest recording yourself speaking, just on your phone. Listen back, not just to what you said, but how you sounded. Were you monotone? Too fast? Too quiet? Then you can consciously adjust.
So the sources basically say your tone reveals your true feelings, even if your words are trying to hide them.
That's the core message. A calm, warm tone draws people in. It makes them feel comfortable, more likely to open up. If you're saying, I really value your opinion, but your tone is sharp and rushed.
They hear the rush, not the value.
Exactly. The tone tells the truth, as one source put it. It reveals your honesty, your actual engagement level.
That requires a lot of self-awareness. Okay, let's shift to Deep Dive 6. Vocabulary and clarity. This is interesting because people often think good communication means using big, fancy words.
And the sources push back hard against that idea.
Yeah.
The mantra is absolutely clarity over complexity. Being clear is far more impressive, far more effective than using complicated jargon. The aim should be simple, direct language that everyone can understand.
But then the sources also talk about expanding your vocabulary. That sounds a bit contradictory. Simple language, but more words.
It seems like it, but it's about why you expand your vocabulary. It's not so you can use bigger words. It's so you have more options to choose the precise, simple word.
Ah, okay, precision.
Exactly. If you have a wider vocabulary, you can pick the one right word to express a complex idea simply and accurately. If you lack that precise word, you might have to use 5 vague words to try and explain it, which actually makes it more complex and less clear.
So if I really understand a complex topic, the true sign of mastery isn't using all the technical terms.
No.
It's being able to explain it clearly to someone who doesn't know the jargon.
That's it, exactly. Taking a big idea and making it simple, that's the mark of a great communicator.
How do you practice that skill?
The sources suggest reading widely, paying attention to how skilled writers and speakers explain things clearly. Listen to how they use analogies or simple language for tough concepts. And try it yourself. Try explaining something complex from your field to a friend or even a child. That forces you to find clarity.
Okay, that makes perfect sense. So we've covered the internal mindset, listening, thinking, empathy, and the external delivery, body language, tone, clarity. Now let's talk about putting it all together in the real world.
Right. This is about applying these skills. We start with Deep Dive 7, adapting your communication style. This is all about context, realizing that who you're talking to and where you're talking matters hugely.
It's not one size fits all, is it?
Yeah.
You wouldn't talk to your CEO the same way you talk to your best friend, or use the same language with the tech team as you would with marketing.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
You need that flexibility. You need to gauge the right level of formality, the right register, as linguists call it. Are you in a formal meeting, a casual chat, writing an email?
Mm-hmm.
The medium matters too. Email needs to be clearer and more concise than maybe a face-to-face conversation where you can read body language. But the underlying principle is always respectful clarity tailored to the audience.
And when you get that adaptation right,
Your message lands effectively. The sources say it lands perfectly because you've considered the receiver, their background, their expectations, what they already know. You minimize misunderstanding and maximize impact.
okay, adaptation is key. Now, deep dive 8. Practicing public speaking. This often terrifies people, but the sources frame it differently.
Yeah, they use the muscle analogy. Communication skills, including speaking confidently in front of others, get stronger the more you use them.
And you don't need a huge audience to practice.
Not at all. Forget the big stage for now. Start small. Practice speaking up clearly in team meetings. Volunteer to present a small update. Even just consciously articulating your thoughts clearly in group discussions with friends or at community events.
Low-stakes practice. What about more structured ways to practice?
Well, things like Toastmasters are great, but you can also do drills yourself. Try impromptu speaking. Give yourself a random topic and talk about it for just 60 seconds, focusing on fluency and avoiding filler words like
Okay, like a mini speech drill.
Or try the summarization exercise. Read an article, then record yourself summarizing the main points clearly in, say, under 2 minutes, as if explaining it to someone unfamiliar with the topic.
That forces you to be clear and concise under a bit of pressure.
Exactly. And the more you do these things, the more comfortable you get just hearing your own voice articulating ideas. You're building that muscle memory for confident expression, even when you feel a little nervous.
That makes a lot of sense. Build the confidence muscle gradually. Which brings us to the final point, deep dive 9. Making communication a daily habit. This pulls everything together, right? The idea that this is a long game.
It absolutely is. Great communicators aren't just born that way. It's a skill they've built consciously over time.
So how do you make it a daily practice? What are the little things?
The sources suggest simple but consistent actions. Make an effort to talk to new people. Sometimes it stretches your adaptability. Ask open-ended questions in conversations, how or why, questions that invite more than a yes-no answer.
Deeper engagement.
And just maintain that awareness. In every interaction, consciously try to listen fully, pause before responding, use clear language, notice your tone.
So the key insight is that every conversation is practice.
Every single one. Ordering coffee, sending a text, chatting with a neighbor. Each time you deliberately apply one of these principles, listen better, pause, choose your words carefully, show empathy, you're reinforcing the skill, you're getting reps in.
It requires being intentional about it.
Very intentional. The sources mention 3 key things for growth. Awareness, really noticing your current habits, good and bad. Patience, accepting that improvement takes time. And persistent practice, just keeping at it every day.
This has been incredibly thorough. We've gone from the deep internal shift needed for understanding
Listening and empathy.
to the practical mechanics of delivery.
Body language, tone, clarity.
And finally, how to apply and practice these skills consistently in real life.
And if you really commit to applying these habits daily, listening, to understand, pausing to think, showing empathy, using confident body language and tone, you will see a difference.
How so? What changes?
People will respond differently to you. They'll likely feel more heard, more comfortable around you. You'll find yourself connecting more genuinely. You'll express yourself more clearly with less misunderstanding. And overall, you'll likely feel more confident in all sorts of situations.
Because it all comes back to that core idea you mentioned at the start.
Exactly. Communication isn't just about the words you say. It's fundamentally about connection, building those bridges between people.
So a final thought for everyone listening to reflect on this week, maybe go back to that idea about tone.
The tone telling the truth.
Yeah. The source said, your words may say one thing, but your tone tells the truth. Think about moments when you're stressed or rushed. Does your tone actually match the message you intend to send?
That's a powerful check.
And if it doesn't, can you use that mind-body loop we talked about? Can you consciously adjust your breathing, your posture, to bring your internal state and therefore your tone back into alignment with your words? So your whole communication is telling one consistent, honest story.
That alignment is key. something definitely worth paying attention to. Thanks for diving deep with us today. Keep learning, keep practicing, and keep connecting.